put the Streptocapus on the east or west facing window, give them enough sunlight but avoiding the midday harsh sunlight. Perhaps we have to retreat them 1 foot away from the west facing window in summer. Its flower needs plenty of gentle light to bloom. Growing temperature is between 16 and 20 degrees. We need good drainage potting mix. You can add amendment to the normal potting mix, for example, perlite or the pumice and orchid bark, like 20% of the volume. I plant them in terracotta pot because it's easier to water them. You can also grow them in plastic container if you want. To decide whether we should water it or not, first we lift up the pot. If it feels obviously lighter and hollow inside, which means the potting mix inside is not soggy and is getting dry. And second, we touch the leaves. If all the leaves are very firm, for example this one, firm, strong and upwards, then it means still have enough water in the pot. Then we can wait another 1 or 2 days and have a look. So if both the pot is light and the leaves are dripping and soft, then we water. Otherwise we let it. We don't want too much water than the root rot. For example, this one. The pot is very light and you can see they have a lot of flowers and the leaves are soft like this. This also soft. Then it's obviously we need some water. And what is important is we don't water here. In the leaves, if water stays there, it will have the leaves rotten and the crown will also rotten. It will be a disaster. So we pick up the leaves. You can see the soil. Then we water here. So we need such a watering pot. So you can just aim the location we need. It's a little bit tricky, but it's difficult to do it with one hand. But like I said, we lift up this skirt. It's like a skirt. And when you can see the soil, then you water here. So please water from top down. From top to down is difficult, but bottom watering is not very nice for this plant. Water precisely only on the surface of the potting mix. Let it absorb. Then perhaps we water it again to make sure we give it a good drink and we don't let any drain out water stay in the saucer. The saucer have to stay dry. So, and pruning, which is very important for flower plants. We all know that. For example, I check during its flowering every week, once. When the flower is getting old, we cut deep. From here, we remove it. And also what is important is you can see it has a lot of leaves. It looks very cute with so rich of leaves, but we also cost a lot of energy. So if we see two leaves are covering each other a little bit like this, so the bottom leaf don't have a lot of light. He is not providing anything. He is only, or this, look, he's costing energy, he don't produce, and in the long term it will cause problems. So this is the thing we have to prune to keep let's see the plant healthy and focus on the flower. And also if the leaves are too long, you can also cut only the tips like this. This is also okay. It is helpful that when you have so many plants that they don't need a huge amount of space, and the two plants' leaves should not touch each other like this. So also will cause a health problem. So we need space between each other. So for example, we find the bottom of this flower, the old flower, cut it off. Remove it, and you can see here a lot of young flowers are emerging from bottom. So don't be afraid to cut old one off. It helps to encourage the new growth. For example, this one is also getting old, should be gone. Look how many flowers I got since I purchased it. The light is very, very important, especially in winter. This is very, very strong plants. We have the flowers for how long? 10 days. All of them are very nice, and the new ones are also growing. So this time we should be really careful about the leaves. Here also these unnecessary leaves I will cut back. It's difficult to do this in one hand, but you know what I mean. Always, every week, have a look what's going on. Do they need a haircut or cut back the flower? It will be grow so beautiful, so beautiful. Fertilizer during the fast growing stage, light, bio liquid fertilizer, all-purpose fertilizer every 10 days. The first time, we always use a light, diluted fertilizer to try if everything goes okay. Then we use 40% or half of the suggested on the liquid fertilizer package. Only use the bio. If you cannot buy one for some reasons, I also soak good compost soil in water and use that water to water the plants. It's light, it's healthy, and it's helpful. Don't be afraid if it's too light. It's always better to be on the light side than on the heavy side. And only bio is good for your soil and good for your plants. And propagation, of course, if you want, you can use leaf cutting for propagation. We cut the leaf back and remove this part, and you can see at the bottom of here is the future baby leaves will emerge. You can cut half of this leaf and put it into the pumice or the perlite or half soil, half perlite mix, and in a glass or plastic container and close it. Keep it moist. If you hear any reluctance from my voice about leaf propagating, that is true, because it only takes 3 months until you can see the baby leaves pop up from the leaf cutting, and it only takes 2 years until you can have such a full plant. So there's another way, is a crown dividing. We can do this after flower. For example, when all these flowers are gone, you can take the plants out of the pot and use a sharp knife. Whereas you can see here is one crown. Here will be another one. Then you separate the whole plants into, like, I would say here I can see 3 of them. You can separate with a knife and replant them in a smaller pot. It's easier and faster than the leaf cutting propagation. Leaf cutting propagation can produce hundreds of baby plants at one time, but for our hobby grower, we don't need so much, and do you have 2 years to wait for that? So that's about propagation. And you can cut, like I said, you can use leaf cuttings. One way is cut like this, put this side down to the potting mix, or the perlite, or the pumice, and or also this way, this side down. But remember, it takes 3 months until the baby plants are emerging. And pest, because this plant need actually stay on the dry side. We let them dry between waters, so there's not a big threat of many pests. But if you don't reduce the leaves, if you never prune them, cut them back, and we have too many leaves between them, if it's too tight, the airflow cannot go in, there will be mealybugs. It's easy to get rid of a cotton stick with some rubbing alcohol. You can wipe it out. I would say it's better to have a look and cut back unnecessary leaves and dead flowers, rather than you have mealybugs, and it's not pleasant to treat pests. Other pests I have not known of so far. Like I said, it's most of the time the surface of the pot is dry, the topsoil is dry, so there's not a good environment for pests. It's quite okay. If you want, you can move them outside in the garden in summertime when it's like about around 20 degrees outside. But first, move them into a bright, shady area. When they get adapt to it, then slowly we move it to the half shade, morning sunlight, afternoon shade, but never move them to the full sunlight in high summer. They will get burned into ashes. Yes, thanks for watching, thanks for your patience, and have a great time with houseplants.